Orlando, good morning, Florida, and good morning, everybody in between. Today is the kickoff. I am super excited of the Tailgate interviews with IBA Success Magazine. We have our first candidate in the seat, which I already have a relationship with because he has been on the cover of IBA Success Magazine before, highlighting some of his journey as a property appraiser for Orange County. So I'm excited to sit down in this next step of journey, have one-on-one with you, talk about what the campaign is and everything you want the community to know before the final vote day of August 18th.
Absolutely.
So first of all, thank you so much for coming.
Jennifer, it's really a pleasure, and more so as I was driving here today, I was thinking about our first meeting and where you came from professionally and where you are today, and I'm tremendously proud of you. I'm proud of your success. You are a role model for our young people, and I thank you so much.
Thank you so much. For the voters who doesn't completely understand the clerk of the courts and what does the clerk actually do, why do you think you should hold that position? Because that's what you're currently going for.
So Jennifer, it goes back to the position that I've held in the past. I've held positions in the military, which essentially has enabled me to get experience in the area of leadership, in the area of teamwork, in the area of precision, in the area of accuracy, transparency, integrity. Those are all very, very important traits for a leader. Secondly, I have built businesses throughout my career, all different level of businesses, and worked as a CEO. The position of clerk of court is an independently elected constitutional office. What that means is quite simply that this is a position of leadership. This is not a position of a department head or a manager. This is the position of total leadership of an institutional organization. I have got a track record of developing an agency, turning an agency around from an agency that's just limping along and taking it to a world-class environment. And that's essentially why I think I am the position, I'm the leader that is very relevant to the race of clerk of court.
So with all of that, you've been elected office before. Why come back now? And specifically, why for the clerk of courts?
When this country was founded, leaders were called upon, a very clarion call by the founders of this country. And what they said was, lend me your talents and skills as we forge ahead to build this nation. And they were talking about people from private sector, irrespective of where they come from, irrespective of what they have done, to lend their talents and skills to serve the community, serve the greater good. I'm on the sunset of my career, if you will. I don't have to have this position. I'm blessed financially. I'm blessed with whatever it is, but I find this as a position of service. I was raised by a single mother who worked 3 jobs as a maid, as I've told throughout this campaign trail. And she balanced the roles of a father, she balanced the roles of a mother, the roles of a professional, the roles of being a maid and working 3 jobs in the winters of New York City. But she also took time out to give back. She took time out, Jennifer, to serve the community. And that's in my DNA. That's why I became a soldier to serve this nation.
I love that. What do you feel makes you more qualified for the clerk position versus the other candidates?
So let's talk about my qualification. It is leadership. It is the ability to influence men and women in such a manner as to accomplish an organizational mission for which you're tasked. This is the classic definition of leadership. I am qualified to be a leader. I've demonstrated that throughout my career, throughout the military, throughout private sector, and of course, as the property appraiser. I took an office that was limping, which is the property appraiser's office, and turned it into a world-class organization. In terms of customer service, I received a Stevie Award, which I don't know of any other government agency that's won that award. I won a Digital Media Award for technology, ranked #1 in the state for accuracy and assessment. So again, I tell you that to tell you that I am eminently qualified for this position. This is not a position for a department head or and firstly, this is not a position for an attorney. Let's get that straight. This is not running for the state attorney's office. This is the clerk of court. It is an independently elected constitutional office that you need a person. You've got payroll, you've got budgeting, you've got HR, you've got just so many different departments. A legal department is one sector of this office. That is a minute part. If you look at the org chart of this, the legal department is fifth tier on this, right?
Okay.
And if you're speaking about, you asked about my opponent, she has been managing one person and that, where her peers on that tier are managing double digits, she's managing one person, and one person is her. So you ask, why am I more qualified? This is essentially, I think, the relevance of the question, of the answer.
What are the first three things that you would go in to change?
So the first thing I would change, I would do an analysis, and I think there is graphic analysis that's available to us right now by in terms of Google. You know, we look at, if I was coming into this business and buying this business from you, Jennifer, I would look at the Google reviews, and I would categorize those and prioritize those. Right now, the main concern is communication in this office. Right, the call center is just not working. Customer service is not working. 4-hour waits. 4-hour wait on hold. I've got it documented, and I can demonstrate that to you. So again, 4-hour wait is just deplorable for government services. Technology is one of those things I would definitely work on, and then policies and procedures. Let me make this straight. I'm eminently qualified for this. I've trained with the best and the brightest in the world. I studied policy at Harvard. I studied technology at MIT, and I studied finance at Wharton Business School. So again, trained with the best and the brightest, and I want to inculcate that and bring that to the public service.
You know, you talk a lot about making things faster and easier, and with customer service there.
Let me just paraphrase it. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Mm-hmm.
And more accurate.
Okay.
Accuracy and precision is so important.
Okay. How would you use technology or AI to modernize the clerk without compromising people's private information or laying off anybody?
So again, this is not about laying off people. This is about making them more competent. This is about, at the end result of this, right? The mission here is serving the public.
Yes.
So how do you get this person better equipped to serve the public? That is the mission here, right?
Yes.
And that comes from influence, that comes from culture, that comes from training, and that is what I plan to bring with the Office of Clerk of Court.
Okay, awesome. So you've definitely had a lot of controversy attached to your previous time in public office. There are allegations surrounding spending, workplace conduct, whistleblower lawsuits. What do you say directly to the voters who remembers these headlines and questions whether they should trust you in another public office?
So again, this is a lot of these issues are politically motivated, right? I was in office for 8 years. I was in I was in office that raised the tax roll from $110 billion to $220 billion. You don't do that without upsetting people. You don't do that without upsetting powerful people. My last election, they spent $6.8 million, $6.8 million, Jennifer, in a property appraiser's race. Understand, I got elected in 2012 for $110 million. They spent $6.8 million to put Rick Singh out of office. Why? Why is that? Why would somebody, ask yourself, the voters need to ask themselves that question. Why would somebody spend $6.8 million to put a property appraiser out of office? So let's talk about the controversies you've mentioned. You talked about spending.
Yes.
I had 8 audits by the comptroller with 0 finding. Okay? So audits were orchestrated by the current mayor at the time. Again, politically motivated, because remember, I fought Orange County to maintain the integrity of constitutional offices, right? Go to the Supreme Court. The case is Singh versus Orange County, right? And that, when you fight a mayor and you fight county commissioners, they don't take it easy, right? They come back with you. They have the ability to order an audit. They ordered the audit. The audit was a nothing burger, right?
Okay.
Comptroller Martha Haney's quote, and I will quote her, the expenditure of public funds by the property appraiser was best practice for public funds. Okay, so you talk about that. You talk about the, I don't know what else you want to talk about, but that's in my expense, in my.
I mean, more so to the public. If they are remembering those headlines, what would you say to them,
I would
just the
say-
community in whole, to say, trust me, don't believe the hype?
I would say this. I would say go to the records, let the record speak for itself. There was 0 convictions, there was allegations. An allegation is not a conviction, right? And in politics, people can throw anything against the wall,
Yes.
right? And what sticks is what they hope would stick. In the case of Rick Singh, nothing stuck. Because I dealt with integrity, I dealt with transparency, and I dealt with fairness.
And I think that's what the community and the people want at whole, those particular characteristics. Looking back, would you have done anything different?
I hired some people in my office that I should not have hired. I think those were hiring errors. I would not do that again. I think that's very, very important, for me to be more cognizant and less trusting of people and go through more of a process. So I think that was a mistake. Would I do anything differently? Again, Jennifer, this was an office that was from a professional standpoint, for serving the public, outreach. We did over 1,000 outreach events. We went to churches, community centers, restaurants, wherever the people were. We went and let them know what the property appraiser did. We let them know the services that an office provided, and we provided that service, right? I put back $1 billion on the tax roll from implementing homestead exemption fraud. I took the tax roll from 110 billion to 220 billion by ensuring the big businesses that were getting away with murder essentially were paying their fair share. And again, when they paid their fair share, the single mother that's working 3 jobs like my mother did, if she had to pay her fair share, so should everybody else. So again, this is the story. The story is a lot of hype. It's a lot of politically motivated hype, and essentially it is what it is.
So what advice would you have to another candidate that is going through some of the same allegations as you? How are you dealing with that mentally, physically? Does that affect the campaign, watching all of the allegations come out against you?
Again, Jennifer, I don't foresee this as all of the allegations as you're categorizing it. I get support from people every single day. I get texts, I get emails, I get literal mails, people writing, Mr. Singh, we've dealt with your service, we know how professional you are, and it's refreshing that you're coming back to office, right?
Yes.
I don't worry about the noise, right? There will always be
There's
noise.
gonna always be
when a
noise.
lion or an elephant is marching through a village, you don't worry about barking dogs.
Yes.
And there's a lot of barking dogs around, and you just got to keep forging ahead.
So what is the one thing happening in Orange County government right now that voters should be paying attention to?
I think the tax referendum is a very, very important
Okay.
referendum for taxpayers.
Okay.
I think it's going to affect a lot of people, including local government budget, and that will resonate throughout the state. As a tax professional, as an expert in this subject matter, I've written a white paper on it,
Okay.
and that's a show by itself. But again, it's something that every voter should be keeping their eye on.
So
Now that has some good parts, Jennifer. The good part is, of course, the exemptions. I'm all for that. I firmly believe that people that are exempt in their property should receive more of a benefit. It benefits seniors, it benefits people on fixed income, it benefits first-time home buyers. So they are going to benefit from this. The exemptions, the exemptions are atrocious. Think about this for a moment. I've touted this number quite often in this interview. $110 billion and homestead exemption was $25,000. $220 billion and homestead exemption is still $25,000.
okay.
They need to be a scale with that. As the value of your property goes up, so should your homestead exemption. So that's an idea that there. Think about this, a veteran's exemption, someone that served this country, or a wounded warrior exemption, someone that served this country and truly deserve an exemption, they get an exemption that equates to $30. When I was property appraiser, and this is state legislature driven, when I was property appraiser, I was really ashamed to tell a veteran, a war hero, or tell a single mother, or tell a widow that, the benefit that you're getting is $30. That's really laughable.
When we talk about that and we talk about money and the exemptions, do you have a plan to help more communities, members without money or connections to an attorney receive the same level of service in the clerk of court?
Well, listen, the level of service, if you have money, is never going to be the same as the level of service you will receive from the clerk of court or any public organization, be it private or public sector, okay? What we can assure is that there's fairness there's equity, and it's available, and it's accessible. That's so important. I will ensure that, okay? I will ensure that the agencies that's there, that's at the clerk of court, is humming on every level, and it's benefiting the taxpayers of Orange County, and it's there to serve in their time of need. I come from a place of empathy, I come from a place of compassion, I come from a place of humility. This is how I was raised. So essentially, you know, that adds to the equation when you're a leader.
Yes, I love that. That is such a great answer. So when we talk about leadership, your lead, and you said, you know, the mistakes that you think you've made before is having the wrong people around you or wrong staff. How would your leadership style today be different from Rick Singh previously?
So again, let me go back and clarify that statement. I had some amazing people around me.
Okay.
I had some fantastic people around me. I had one young lady that was my chief of staff that I knew since she was 20 years old.
Okay.
I actually hired her in my private sector business as a first-time employee. Watch her rise through the ranks, very much like you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Very much like you. Watch her become a senior buyer for a retail store. Watch her start her own company. Watch her go to one of the colleges here and got an MBA in business. Watch her graduate #1 for the class and became the chief of staff of the property appraiser because she was eminently qualified. For that position, she competed against the best and the brightest and beat them up head by head, you know. So again, this is a lady that came into the office and did some tremendous work. We have our IT directors. And you know, what I focused on was ensuring that women and minorities had positions of power in this office. In this office, when I ran this office, women of color, women of minority, women who would never have an opportunity, had an opportunity under Rick Singh. It was a level playing field, okay?
Wow.
So I want to make that point very, very relevant.
So there's voters that's right now that's watching, and they haven't quite decided whether Rick Singh deserves another opportunity in public office. In 60 seconds, what would you say to them to say, hey, I'm the one?
So I would say the choice is clear. I would say this is an executive position. This is a position to run the clerk of court office. And you want an executive in this position. I equate this position, if you don't know what you're doing, to holding a lion by the tail. When he turns around, you gotta know what to do because he's gonna eat you alive. And these things happen when you're in a position of an executive position, especially in a constitutional office. There are several moving parts, there are several departments, and you need someone with the experience who, on day one, who can come in and take those departments and essentially have meetings, do analysis, do the necessary work to bring these offices to the next. Again, 2.5 star on Google is deplorable. It's not acceptable. Jennifer, let me ask you this question honestly. If your business had a 2.5 star, would you worry about it?
Listen, when my business get any star under 5 stars, we're having a meeting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're having a meeting, we're
Absolutely.
reconstructing, we're coming to do
that
what
was the
needs to
same with
happen.
me in private sector, and that was the same with me as property appraiser, right? So again, it's care. This is one thing I want to tell the voters. There's three reasons you do things in life. Because you're told to, because you have to, and because you care. Understand this, Rick Singh care. I don't have to be the clerk of court. I don't have to be the clerk of court, but I want to be the clerk of court because I care. I care because I want to serve you, the taxpayers. I've done it before. I've done it with excellence, receiving internationally acclaimed awards. And I want to do that with the clerk of court. So essentially, that is the reason why I'm running for this office, to serve my community. Like my mother instilled in me when I was 10 years old. She always told me, when you go into a room, never leave that room like you found it. Always make it better. And I'm looking to make my community better. This is why I'm running to be not just the Orange County Clerk of Court, your Orange County Clerk of Court.
What's one word that describes your leadership?
Care. Undoubtedly care.
What is the biggest lesson public service has taught you?
Public service has taught me very much what I've learned in private sector. It's about people. It's about people. It's about the lowest level person on the totem pole, if you will, if there is such a thing, and caring for that person. Because if you care for that person at the lowest level, then ultimately you are caring for the person at the highest level. It's about people, Jennifer.
It's about people.
It's about people, and you've got to care about people. You know, in your business, you care about your customers. I see that. I've been a customer here. And in public service, it needs to be the same level of care. You got to come in there, you got to do the analysis, and you got to care. You know, I'll tell you in closing, if this is closing, you know, I value customer service to the point where I had in my entire staff understand a poem written by Gandhi. And I'll paraphrase the poem for you.
I think I remember. We
you
talked
remember
about
that,
this
yeah.
before.
The
Yes.
customer is the most important visitor to our premises. He's not here because of us. We are here because of him. He's not an interruption in our work. He is the reason for it. Google it. It's a beautiful mantra for customer service, and I implore everyone to follow that. And that is what we followed at the Property Appraiser's Office. When they had any questions, they revert back to that. When they had a question on valuation, this was my lesson. I said, listen, I want you, are you confident with that number? They said yes. I said, okay, let me ask you this question. If your mother scrubbed floors for a living and gave you all of her earnings, she told you to invest it, would you buy that property for that price? Right? It comes down to people, it comes down to experiences, and it comes down to caring. Right?
So what's the promise that the community can hold you accountable for?
The community can hold me accountable for establishing an office that works for the people. It's got to work for the people. It's about people. It's an office that when you come in there, you're greeted properly. It's an office where you will not have long lines. It's an office where we will have technology working for you. Digital jury summonses, okay? So very important. It's an office where I will care about my employees. I am going to put together the first daycare initiative in this office. That's something we've put out in the campaign that really hasn't got a lot of highlights. You know, you have single mothers, you have mothers that are single parents, or what have you, bring in their kids and have to worry about daycare. Hey, bring your kids to the clerk of court office where you work. Go visit them at lunch, go visit them during your break. So I plan to implement that. And when that program is successful, I plan to invite the state attorney and of course the public defender to share with that program and make it a countywide program eventually, because I think, I know it will work, and once it works, I want it to be infectious and affect every government employee that's involved.
Awesome, awesome. Do we have any questions? Any questions? Any questions for?
Sure, I do.
You have a question?
Yes, that actually the state attorney and public defenders are already working on that child care program, so there is a prototype. But I do have a question for Mr. Singh. He talked about being in rooms, barking dogs, which I think he's referring to me. But nevertheless, I am barking because I was superimposed on one of his campaign literatures that was dispensed to almost 100,000 plus voters. Of course, everyone knows that I have an open case. And my concern with the attacks that Mr. Singh has done on me, he talks about jurors. So I will be going to trial to present my innocence. How can I be assured, I got a two-part question.
Yes.
How can I be assured that because of the attacks and him becoming clerk, that he will treat my case fair and unbiased? Because that's what they've centered this campaign around, is my open cases, and I'm not a candidate. That's question one.
Well, let's
Go
stop
ahead.
there, because I think that's a very good question. That talks about, being unbiased and not personally having vindictives about anybody. Did you put out anything specifically that attacks?
So again, the individuals that are the subject of that mailer are historical and veterans of the political community. They have developed enemies in past races. I categorically deny, and I'll look into the camera and tell you, I had nothing to do with that mailer. They have essentially categorized me as the person that's put that mailer. Again, I have not put that mailer out. I will say that to you publicly. I will say my fingerprints are not on that mailer. I don't even know when that mailer went out, okay? The bottom of the mailer have a disclaimer, and it says who puts out the mailer, right?
Okay.
I don't even know who that is because I have not read that, but I know it doesn't say approved by Rick Singh, candidate for Orange County Clerk of Court. Is not on that mailer. I did not put it on. I'm responsible for what my office put out. The second part of that question is fairness, right? Can the clerk of court can Rick Singh be unbiased clerk of court? I've demonstrated that I've been unbiased to the tune of almost $1 trillion. $1 trillion, okay? because I had 686,000 parcels of property in Orange County, and I did not look to see who owned what. Those parcels of property had a parcel ID number, and I dealt with them as inventory in a county. The individuals that have case, you don't have the time when you're a CEO to figure out, if Tom, Dick, or Harry has a case, right? There are thousands and perhaps hundreds of thousands of cases to ensure that to spend your time worrying about one or two cases. You don't have the time for it. It's just not physically possible. And if you have done that, then you don't fit the mold. You don't fit the example for transparency and fairness, and I've demonstrated that time and time again in my evaluation. My assessments have been examined by the Department of Revenue. They have been examined by the Value Adjustment Board, and they have been examined by the courts, and they've always been upheld. So I say that to say that, the public can rest assured that despite whatever your allegations are, you're innocent until proven guilty. This is still America, and I will ensure that your records are accurate, transparent, and filed in a timely manner.
Okay, and you have a part two to that question. Do you
Absolutely.
want to have something to say from that?
Yeah, I do, brother.
Well, let's. I'm not here to debate.
I'm not here to debate. I have questions
Okay.
and not to debate.
And I'm going to answer one more question, and then I've got to go.
All right,
Okay.
the one more question is this. You talk about being in rooms, honesty and transparency. But we saw a video this week of allegations of theft of the showroom floor of floor decors. And what do you have to say to that, Mr. Singh? Because you made restitution. They accuse you of stealing almost $1,000 of Dolomite tile. Saw you on the video exchanging that towel. Saw you on the video walking out the door with the towel, being summoned back, and your attorney, Mark Nejane, go ahead and work out a agreement to pay restitution. So who stole the towel? Did you steal the towel, or you just paid for it so you can get it? That was less than 2 years ago.
So your allegations of Mark Nejane being my attorney, Mark Nejane has never been my attorney.
Okay,
right?
I apologize. I said
Yeah.
allegation.
So the
But
facts,
the towel, let's
the
get
facts
to the
are
towel.
incorrect. The facts are incorrect. Again, I have addressed this publicly. I have addressed this as a.
That was before
this
the video.
I have addressed this as a public, in a public forum, and I'm not about to debate or litigate this again. This is about the candidacy for the office of clerk of court, okay? And I've addressed that.
So with that being said,
You don't want to explain
if
the
a
step?
person is questioning your integrity or that they can trust you.
Absolutely.
And I think this is where
Again, so Jennifer, let me
information
say
is
this. I'll answer that by saying this. This is still America.
Yes.
Allegations can be made
It's
about
not, it's a
anybody.
video, sir.
Yes.
Anybody. Might have a chance to
Yes,
talk.
let's-
Allegations are going to be thrown around by everybody. Okay, this is still America. You're still innocent until proven guilty. The facts of the matter is essentially handled. There was a business mistake by a clerk. Okay, I corrected that mistake and took care of it. There was no restitution. There was a manager looking at it and saying, "Hey, you have done $200,000 business with this store, okay? And we don't have this issue with you. This is a nothing burger." That was his quote, "a nothing burger," by the manager of the store. It was taken care of, and that's all I got to say on that subject.
Okay. So in finishing, if elected for clerk of courts of Orange County, residents will finally get to see what?
Residents, I think, will finally get to see a new culture in this office, Jennifer. Residents will get to see an office that is revamped, that is more customer-centric, that is more public sector function. Residents will get to see what they saw with the property appraiser's office when I took it, and took it from zero to hero, okay? Residents will get to see an office that is functioning on all level in the area of technology, in the area of customer service, in the area of transparency, in the area of efficiency, okay? So again, residents will indeed get to see that.
So, hey, as we're here and this was live, you have, I'm sorry, one question?
I do have a question. I know with AI, the features of AI, you see it advancing literally by the day. So as you infiltrate that AI system, with the clerk of courts, we have to say there could be some loss of jobs. Are you going to create some internal training programs for the AI so those people can be at least be able to transfer, learn AI, create some type of educational system through the clerk of courts so they can be able to hold their jobs?
So again, this is not about getting rid of jobs. There's a study that actually showed that if AI is implemented properly, there is no loss of jobs.
Okay.
What it is enhancing those positions and having those people trained properly. Okay. So I just did an interview, to answer your question, in a Brazilian, with a all Brazilian radio station, Radio Brazil. The commentator or the interviewer did not speak English. I obviously did not speak Portuguese, but we did that entire interview utilizing AI. So again, AI could be used to benefit taxpayers and to serve the public tremendously well in many, many different areas. I have studied AI at MIT, so I can tell you I have an intimate knowledge of it. I plan to implement it to serve the public best. This is not about losing jobs, gaining jobs. This is about making you better at your job.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, I think this was a great interview. You all, if you are just tuning in or you're watching on the replay, this is the kickoff of IBA Success Magazine Tailgate interview, sponsored by Southern Style Barbecue, located on 4890 Edgewater Drive, and Jin Yan Agency. You all, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer.
For being
Always
a part
pleasure.
of this and for kicking the day off. Listen, y'all, stay tuned, follow, like, share. How can they find more about you on your platform?
VoteRickSingh.com. It's very simple. Go there, volunteer, donate, give me a call if you have a question. I'm there.
All right, y'all, we'll see you soon.
Take care.
Take care.
All right.